Good evening. Welcome to Star Talk. My goodness, we got a phone caller here. Caller, hang on just one sec. Stay right where you are, caller. We'll be right to you. This
Yes,
says
sir.
uh, what night it is. I don't know what night it is, but it's Star Talk. You can give us a call at the number on your screen, even though you'll get a busy signal right now. You can also email us at kecchols47 at gmail.com if you'd like to take part in the program. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ken.
Good evening.
I want to remind you and Mark Mayadan, Mass Singer tonight, 8 o'clock on your local Fox station tonight, sir.
And we expect it'll be a new show.
Yes, sir. You're not on in Danville.
We
We're
will.
getting we got a black screen.
We'll keep watching it. We might appear. We might appear any moment now in Danville.
Well, that's good. We always expect the show on time, maybe, but there's always it's a
Well,
live show.
don't expect it. Don't expect it on time. But be patient. I think we might pop up there in Danville real soon.
Well, I'm expecting a vacation check this Friday, so most likely everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see all y'all next week.
Well, now but I'm just curious. Before you hang up, I'm just curious. Your vacation check is that probably be like five figures, six figures? How much is that going to be?
About 8 figures.
Eight figures. Eight figures. Oh, well, that's better than six. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
enjoy
I
now.
get, I get.
If you hold on to that, just hold on to that for another short while. You can take that to Caesars on December 17th and gamble it away in the big new casino.
Well, not going. I heard Dennis Rodman's going to show up.
Dennis Rodman is going to be there. I have no idea why, but Dennis Rodman will be there as the master of ceremonies for the whole thing.
Well, if he's going to be there, I'm not going to be there.
Is there some trouble between you and Dennis Rodman?
Nah, I don't know, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Bye, sir.
See you later. Yes, Mask Singer, Mark. If you, Mark and Mayan, if you're listening, and if you had, uh, for some reason, forgotten that the Masked Singer is on tonight at 8 o'clock, then there is your reminder that it is on tonight at 8 o'clock. And as far as Dennis Rodman goes, I'm sure you've all heard by now, and then no doubt most of you are just alight with excitement at the fact that Dennis Rodman will be there to MC the grand opening of the real Caesars in Danville on December 17th. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, kid, I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Did I hear right on that guy that shot that CEO? Are they
What?
charging him for second degree murder?
Uh, that is what I. That's what I heard.
Now, how's
Which
that second degree murder when he meant, he you know what I'm saying?
I know he planned it. He had to
Yeah,
have premeditated it to be there
yeah, that's,
at that time. So yeah, I'm very surprised by that. But that's what I heard. Maybe we heard wrong, but I heard the same thing you did.
yeah. So I couldn't understand. I said, now how does he get second degree murder when he premeditated that?
Because
He's supposed to be
one
first
of the
degree
main
murder.
things they often look at when they formulate a charge like that is it's what they call lying in wait. Did the perpetrator wait
Yeah,
for the victim, which it's pretty evident that he did. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait for more information on that because it really
yeah.
surprised me.
And another thing, my wife went to sleep and she said, "Who won the mass singer last night? Do you know?"
Mask Singer it wasn't last night, it's tonight.
Oh, the winner tonight.
Yeah, the show is tonight. They don't have the final winner tonight. I think they got two more before they get to the final winner, but it's tonight at 8 o'clock.
Oh, I thought she said she missed it. She didn't know who won it.
Well,
But
she
I'll tell her.
hasn't missed it yet.
Okay, I'll tell her that. But anyway, I want to call in and ask you about that. I was just wondering if I was hearing right on that about that guy shooting that CEO. I mean, second degree murder. I mean, he premeditated. That's first degree murder.
That is how it would seem to me.
Yeah.
And I again, maybe we'll get more information. I'm sure we'll get more information on it. Whether it'll clear that up or not, we will see.
Okay, Ken. Well, thank you a whole lot. I'll let somebody else call in. Talk to you later. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you for calling. It's good to hear from you. Phone line is open at the number if you'd like to give us a call or send us an email. They're also going to have a big parade in Danville for the casino opening. A parade starting downtown at Craghead at Main and Craghead downtown, and it's going to come all the way up Main and then to West Main and all the way out to the casino. So it'll be a mighty throng parading through the city of Danville when the real casino opens up, and Dennis Rodman will be there to see that everything goes smoothly. I have an email about Die Hard. Let me get my email device over here. We were talking some about Christmas movies last night, and the question came up whether Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie. I said that I don't really think of it as one, but stand by on that. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, it's Mark from Maridan.
Hey, Mark.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
That's good. I'm doing okay. Yeah, sorry I didn't ask you last night. I forgot to ask you how you doing last night, and I forgot to ask you about it.
Well, I'm good, but that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom's got a birthday coming up this week.
Oh, really? Which day?
Friday.
Well, we won't be on the air Friday, but we'll wish her happy birthday, right? Happy birthday to your mom.
Okay. And then thanks to Charles for reminding me about the Masked Singer.
Okay, yeah, Charles has that. That's one of his jobs in life, and he does it well.
Oh, now my mom's birthday is Saturday, not Friday, it's Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well, then happy birthday to your mom on Saturday.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, they said that guy that tried to assassinate Trump, the second one that was from Greensboro. He used to live in Greensboro.
Yeah.
They said something about he's going to try to do an insane thing, saying he was insane. That's why he was trying to do that.
Well, I'm not surprised that his lawyers, I guess his lawyers decided to follow that route. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, and then on Fox News they said somebody they recovered like 18 cell phones, and he had connections to overseas on it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just as we were talking about the murder in New York City, clearly this was again he was premeditating an act. Now, whether he will be found not responsible for reason of insanity, that's a whole other question that a judge will have to decide. But he certainly had a lot of planning that had gone into what he was talking about and thinking about doing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks for calling, Mark. Good to hear from you. Now, I said last night that I don't think of Die Hard as a Christmas movie. I said. But there's an emailer here who takes exception to what I said, as people often do take exception to certain things that I say. This emailer says, Ken, here's what I think. Die Hard has Christmas in it. People acknowledge and participate in Christmas activities. Therefore, it is a Christmas movie. End of story, says the emailer. All right, well, that's fine. I mean, everybody has an opinion on that. I guess what I would say about that is I have never myself and also have never seen or heard anybody uh, say something like, it's the Christmas season, and I'm all excited about Christmas, and I love this season. It's such a wonderful season. Let's watch Die Hard to get into the Christmas spirit. Um, you know, I don't see it that way, and I don't know anybody else who sees it that way. But you might, emailer, and if you do see it that way, then fine. Uh, it's not up to me to decide how you ought to see and interpret that. You can do that by your own lights and proclivities. But no, I don't think of Die Hard as a Christmas movie. I don't. Therefore, I do not list it on my list of favorite Christmas movies. But it's, I guess, a point open to discussion. Hi, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. You talking last night about what was it, Belichick going to work for UNC?
Yeah, it looks like now it's going to happen.
Yeah, I heard today that was going to happen, and I got to researching some head coaches for football players, different teams,
Uh-huh.
and I did not realize they made the kind of money they make. I mean, the head coach for Georgia, he makes $13.3 million a year.
And what do you think Saban at Alabama makes?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I checked several of them, and it went from like 13.3. I think it was 10 or 12 of them listed, and the least one I saw was like $9.0 million, and that's a ton of money, man.
And that's I don't know if I don't know where you looked. If that was just talking about salary,
Right.
they make more. They make more than their announced salaries because they get all sorts of additional things too. Now, Nick Saban at Alabama, I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess. I'm just guessing. And somebody might look this up and find out. I'm guessing that Nick Saban at Alabama probably makes $15-17 million a year, somewhere in that range.
Don't you think that's a lot of money for that, for that job, Ken? I mean, my gracious. I mean, to me, $1 million is a whole lot of money, but, look at the NASCAR drivers. I don't know what they make. Yeah, I'd say probably around $13-14 million a year, but look at the chances of getting hurt or killed is in that sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it varies for NASCAR drivers. None of them are work for low wages. They all make good money. Some make more than others, of course, depending on how successful. They make millions. It's safe to say NASCAR drivers make more than $1 million a year, and in some cases, a lot more than $1 million a year. Football coaches. Here's what the University of Alabama says, and the University of Georgia says, and the University of whatever says about how much they pay football coaches and basketball coaches in some cases too. They say that football, and in the other case basketball, but to a greater extent football, generates this amount of revenue for this university, and they will give you an enormous amount of revenue that football generates. So they will say, we're fully justified in paying the coach 10 or 12 or 13 million dollars out of that revenue that football generates. So that's how they explain it.
Well, don't you think that also contributes to tuition fees in the long run?
Well, of course. I mean, everything a university does comes out of money that is paid, and some of the money is paid in tuition, some of it's student fees. A lot of it, of course, admittedly, a lot of it is contributions from boosters, and boosters contribute more if the football team wins. So it's a complicated thing. It's not a simple thing. It's a very complex network of revenue in college. But I guess to me, I would say that if the football coach makes $13 million a year, and if the chairman of the mathematics department makes $840,000 a year, the university is, to me, sending a very strange message about where its priorities are.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I did a little research on that too, and most of the professors make less than $1 million a year. It just it don't sound right. I mean, because I'm not a big football fan or whatever, but the money just don't seem in line with what they're doing.
And of course, let's note too, we're talking about the Southeastern Conference here. And the Southeastern Conference, I mean, I don't know if you can even rightly call it college. For the Southeastern Conference is basically a minor league for the NFL. I mean, it is essentially a professional football league for all intents and purposes. It's not the same way in all conferences, but there are plenty of other schools where it comes close to that. And again, I don't. It doesn't add up for me, but apparently it adds up for the universities.
Yeah, it's just another one of those money things,
It is that.
Yeah. Well, who do you think's flying those drones around New Jersey and places up there? What do you think? Who's doing that? Do you think it's the United States government or foreign government, or who do you think's doing that?
I don't know. I'm not even going to guess at that. It could be some 14-year-old living in his mother's basement who has figured out how to fly a fleet of drones all together at one time. I mean, who knows?
Well, they claim it's not, a store-bought drone. They say these things are as big as small cars, but I don't know myself. I was wondering if you knew, but it don't make sense, does it?
No, it seems unlikely. It's not impossible. It seems unlikely that a foreign power could do that without without somebody knowing something. So I mean, I'm not even trying to guess at it right now. I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not even going to speculate. I just don't know.
Yep. All right, Ken. Thanks for taking my call, man. Have a good weekend.
Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. I have another email here. Get this open. Well, this one's about college football coaches. Ken, how much are they going to pay Belichick at Chapel Hill? I don't know. I don't think they've announced that yet. They haven't actually announced that he's even going to be hired, and they certainly haven't announced how much they're going to pay him. But they're going to pay him a lot. However much it is, it's going to be more, to go to our earlier example, it's going to be more than the chairman of the mathematics department makes. I think we can absolutely depend on that. And then there's another report, and Martinsville told me about this, which I had not heard. There is a report out that part of the deal for Belichick at UNC will be that when he decides to retire, that his son, they are committing to give the job to his son when Belichick retires. The younger Belichick will take over the job. I don't know if that's not official. Well, none of it is official, but that reportedly is part of the deal as well. That Belichick coaches, and when he decides to retire, Junior takes over. I don't know if that would stay in effect if Belichick gets fired. But again, we're just speculating on all this right now. But it appears, as of today, that Bill Belichick, winner of 6 Super Bowls, will be the new head football coach at the University of North Carolina. So stay tuned for details on that, probably coming soon. Ken, what is all this I hear about Wegovy? Do you know what Wegovy is? It's that weight loss drug. Hang on, we'll get back to this in a second. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Ken. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. You know that those drones they're flying are the size of an SUV.
Yeah, they're pretty big. That's what I hear.
Yeah, and I have a very simple way of finding out who's doing it.
Shoot one down?
No, it might have a bomb or radiation or who knows what.
Well, what would you do?
We send up
a drone or several drones or 50 drones of the same size or larger and follow them home.
Oh, well, that's a pretty good idea.
I mean, you know, they need to pay me for that idea. The government does.
Now, the question is,
because they wouldn't think, they can't think of that.
Well, probably one thing they think is maybe the drones won't go home. If it was, say, a foreign country, they might just have them fly out into the Atlantic Ocean and ditch and not ever go back home.
Well, I saw twice on Fox today, and then I saw something different. That is a congressman stating Iran launched a mothership a little over a month ago, and now it's off the northeast coast of the United States, and the drones are coming from there.
That was a member of Congress?
Yes.
Interesting.
But everything I've researched about that said it wasn't true. But he come on live TV, said, and somebody interrupted. He said, "I'm trying to tell you what's going on."
Well, now, couldn't they just...
And then he went ahead and finished.
Well, if a member of Congress knows where the mothership is, then certainly the Air Force and the Navy would know where it is. Why don't they just go out there and shoot the thing down and recover it, and then they could figure out where it came from?
Well, I don't know. Once again, it could have nuclear stuff on it. It could have who knows what on it.
Well, okay.
But once again, if they shut it down over the ocean, who knows how far? You know, we've only got 2 miles of international waters, right. Or until we're in international waters where Russian submarines can come to, or anybody.
Sure.
And yeah. So who knows? You know, that's all we got to do is have a drone to follow one, or a satellite. Why can't our satellites follow them?
Well, you know, they certainly ought to be able to track the things by about the size of an SUV. Yeah, they ought to be able to track that by satellite.
They either know and they're not telling us, or they hadn't figured out the satellite deal yet either.
Well, you know, maybe following it home is the best idea we've got right now. I hope they're thinking about that.
I hope so too. I'm gonna call somebody and let them know about that.
Okie dokie.
All right, Ken. Have a good night, buddy.
Thanks for calling. And if you have any trouble getting through to the Department of Defense, just call Charles Rourke. I'm sure Charles Rourke has a phone number for somebody who can get you through. So if you run into a roadblock, call Charles. Phone line is open. There's the number on the screen. The email address, kechols47@gmail.com. Let's see. This one says, somebody did look this up. Thank you. About Nick Saban, the head football coach at Alabama. Nick Saban was the highest paid college coach at $11.4 million for his last year. His replacement makes $10 million a year. The new highest coach, and I think we're talking strictly about salary here. The new highest coach is Dabo Swinney, Clemson, $11.5 million for 2024. Others include Steve Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley, etc., making around $10 million. And these, I'm pretty sure, are salaries. Now, a coach, a football coach, and a basketball coach make a salary. Then the coach, in almost every case, the coach has a radio show that he does, or sometimes a TV show that he does. And they also pay the coaches staggering amounts of money for doing the radio show or the TV show. And that raises things up above their stated salary. They also get all sorts of benefits like automobiles and housing and rental and home purchase assistance. And who knows, they might even get a gas trade. They might even get free gasoline at the Sheetz next to the campus. They may get that too. But by the time you add it all up, um, the salary plus all the benefits that they work in for a coach, it is just a fantastic amount of money for a college football coach. But wait, there's more. The emailer goes on to note this: the NFL dwarfs those payouts with the highest paid coach, Andy Reid, who almost got to kiss Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. I don't think he quite made it, but he came kind of close, I think. Andy Reid gets $20 million a year. Sean Payton of the Broncos, $18 million a year. Multiple NFL coaches that make $16 a year: Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, and others like that. So whether you are an NFL coach or whether you are a football coach at a university in one of the so-called power conferences, you're doing okay. Really, you're going to have enough to scrape by on. Now, what was that other email? Where was? Oh yeah, what is this I hear about Wegovy? It's the weight loss drug, Wegovy. Somebody did some research and they said that Wegovy does something to your heart. What have you heard about that? Well, here's what I've heard. It's Wegovy and it's Ozempic. There are two of them that you see advertised on TV all the time, and they each have a song. There's a Wegovy song that they play, and then there's an Ozempic song that they play in the Ozempic commercials. Research has shown that they do in fact help mice lose weight. They haven't done this with humans, but they've done it with mice. They do help mice lose weight, but at the same time, they can only infer causality based on what they know right now. They can infer causality, but they cannot absolutely state causality. But what they can absolutely state is that as the mice lose weight, the mice also lose heart tissue. The mice lose a lot of their fat. Some cases, in the normal case, 30-35% of their fat, but their hearts shrink. Their hearts, in particular, the left ventricle of their hearts, which is the main pumping chamber, gets smaller while they are on Wegovy. Now, again, they can't absolutely say Wegovy causes this, but they can say it happens at the same time. They lose what percentage? 8%, I think it was, or maybe it was some other percentage of their heart muscle. Now, they also point out, and this is important to note, that during the length of these trials, and the trials ran for a number of weeks, during the trials, the function of the mice's hearts was not reduced. Even though their hearts, and in particular their left ventricles, became smaller, they still seemed to continue working just as well as they had worked before. So scientists, at least responsible scientists, who do things like this are very careful to state only what they know and not state a lot of speculation. So they know that the mice were taking Wegovy. I don't know if the mice were insured or who was paying for it, but the mice were taking Wegovy. We know that the mice lost fat, and we know that the mice lost tissue. They lost volume in their left ventricles, and we know that their hearts continued to work just as well as they had before. So there's a whole host of questions that a person might ask, having been presented with those facts, but we don't know the answer to all those questions. So that's it. That's what has happened. That's what they found out with Wegovy, and on the other one, Ozempic, which is really basically the same thing as Wegovy. One might conclude, although I don't think they actually used any Ozempic, one might conclude, though, that the same thing would happen with Ozempic. So that's what's known, and that's all that's known. People who use these, and I should think doctors who prescribe them, will acquaint themselves with this information and evaluate whether or not they ought to continue prescribing and using the drugs. Pending further research, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be further research, that's really all that can be said about it right now. Ken, I agree with you. I don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It is not something that I would gather the grandchildren. It's not something I would gather the grandchildren around on Christmas Eve to watch while they're waiting for Santa Claus. And that's my test. If I don't want to show it to my grandchildren on Christmas Eve, then to me, it is not a Christmas movie. Okay, there's another opinion about Die Hard. And here's an opinion about this. You know what I miss, Ken, and I miss it most of all this time of year when we're hearing about snow in places like Detroit and other places. I miss football games in the snow. I remember when I was growing up, when it got to be December, there was always a football game on TV on Sunday. And if it was snowing, I was delighted. I would really love to watch football being played in the snow. I also like it in the mud, but you don't see that anymore either. Number one for me would be a game played in snow. Number two would be a game played in mud. Number three, and a distant number three, is a game played on artificial turf. I want to see some football in the snow. Well, I'm not going to be able to help you with that, at least not in Detroit. You mentioned Detroit. You're certainly not going to see it in Detroit. You can see it in Buffalo every now and then. You can see a game in the snow, although they've got they have such snow removal capabilities now that they didn't have 50 years ago. That you know they can pretty much clear the field of 2 feet of snow in Buffalo in what 80 minutes. It doesn't take long. You know, there aren't that many chances now to see football in the snow. But I agree with you. I thought it was just wonderful to watch a football game in the snow when they'd play a few plays and then they'd have to come out and sweep the snow off of the yard markers so that they were visible and you could see where they were. I think that was just great football. And what was the controversy? There was a controversy a few years ago, somewhere where it was snowing and the home team was going to kick a field goal. And they came out and cleared the area around where the ball was going to be teed up to make it easier for the kicker. And the other team complained about that. I don't remember where that was. But just the general, though, just the general response to your comment is, yeah, football in the snow was really good to watch, and football in the mud. Snow probably a little better, but football in the mud was good too. And they would get so muddy that you couldn't see the numbers. Sometimes you couldn't even see the jerseys well enough to know which team was which. So that was pretty good also. In fact, my friend and I, me and Duck McGehee, used to go, when it was raining, we would get our football and we would go out and find the muddiest place we could find. And we would run up and down the mud and tackle each other and roll around in the mud and get ourselves all muddy, just like those guys on TV did from time to time. My mother didn't like that. My mother strongly disapproved of that, but it was fun for me, so we kept doing it. Maybe you did too. I'll bet you did. Phone line is open. There's a number up there. You can email us at kechols47@gmail.com. Ken, when is the casino going to open again? And tell me again where that parade is going to be. Caesars in Danville will have its grand opening of the new, complete, fully built, totally large and amazing casino on December 17th. That's December the 17th is the grand opening. The parade will start downtown at Main. It's West Main downtown, isn't it? And then North Main after it crosses. Well, I don't. That doesn't matter. At Main and Craghead, whether it's northeast or west, you know where Main and Craghead you know where the intersection is. So that's where the parade will start, and then it will flow along the main street and then out West Main through Schoolfield and all the way to the casino is where the parade will go. So if you want to see the parade, that's where you need to be. If you want to avoid the parade, that's where you'll need not to be on the 17th. And Dennis Rodman, as we mentioned before, Dennis Rodman will be there as MC, Master of Ceremonies for the event. In fact, I think, do I have this right? I think Dennis Rodman is going to place the ceremonial first bet. No, true. I'm not making this up. Like sometimes at the World Series, they'll have somebody come out and make the ceremonial first pitch. Some celebrity will make the ceremonial first pitch at a World Series game. Dennis Rodman, I think, is going to make the ceremonial first bet in the casino, which really sounds silly, doesn't it? But it'll probably be a lot of fun to watch. And again, that's coming up on December the 17th at Caesars in Danville. Ken, did Mickey Mouse, not Mickey Mouse, you're mixed up. The emailer is asking a question but does not really understand the proper premise of the question. What the emailer is saying here is, what the emailer is asking is, Mouse and Petunia Pig ever get married? No, Mickey Mouse and Petunia Pig do not even exist in the same universe. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ken Briscoe from Hospital.
Hey, Briscoe.
I've got a stupid question that I want answered as an old fella.
Well, what's the question?
Who the heck is Dennis Rodman?
Who the heck is Dennis Rodman? Dennis Rodman, Briscoe, was a professional basketball player. Played for several teams. He was most famous for playing with the the Detroit Pistons in their big years. That's who he was. He's a pro basketball player, retired.
Okay, well, I've heard the name several times tonight, but not following sports like most young people do. But I just wondered who the heck Dennis Rodman was.
Well, that's who he is, Briscoe, basketball player.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for calling, Briscoe. And one of the greatest rebounders, of all time. Didn't score a whole lot. Couldn't shoot the ball much, really. But a great rebounder and a great defensive player. And now we'll place the ceremonial first bet at the Caesars Casino. Let me get back to this. The emailer wants to know if Mickey Mouse and Petunia Pig ever met. No, emailer. They didn't even know each other. As far as I know, Mickey Mouse hung out with Minnie Mouse, and Petunia Pig, of course, was associated, at least in the gossip columns, with Porky Pig. So your question, I guess your question ought to, well, your question shouldn't have been asked at all, if we want to get right down to it. But if it was going to be asked, your question should have been either did Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse ever get married, or did Porky Pig and Petunia Pig ever get married? I don't know. That was never made clear in any of the cartoons. I don't think it wasn't even made clear in the cartoons that they had romantic relationships, although that was certainly, I think, assumed by most of us. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good evening to you, Ken.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. I hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Good. I think you sold Briscoe a little short answer a few minutes ago.
What should I have said?
Well, you were right talking about his professional career as a basketball player,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of left out everything between the time he got out of the NBA and today. And I think that's what makes him a more topical person, should we say, than his
Well,
basketball career.
all right. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. And if we did not serve Briscoe well, you can support us on that right now. What do you think we should say? What's the most important thing about Dennis Rodman?
Well, I am no Dennis Rodman expert by any stretch of the imagination, nor a historian.
Okay.
But what comes to my mind is I think I would have said to Mr. Briscoe, he has recently become somewhat of a celebrity in regards to some of his behaviors, activities, and associations that many people would find controversial, shall we say.
Well, controversy. He's no stranger to controversy. Even when he was playing, he certainly was no stranger to unusual behaviors. But I guess to me the basketball was the most important part. But maybe it wasn't.
Well, I agree with you. The basketball was the most important part. I'm not disputing your answer on that. I'm just saying in today's conversation, I think it's his post-basketball activities that many people associate him with now.
Well, that may well be.
For example, some of his trips to the, shall we say, Asian theater.
Well, yeah, that is true. He's sort of inserted himself into international politics to some extent.
And in some to that extent, some of those people were, should we say, controversial themselves.
We could say that, yes, we could.
All right.
But is that I guess here? Now let me ask you this question. Is that the reason though? Is that the reason though that they would choose him to make the first bet at the casino? Did they choose him because of his travel habits or because of his basketball history? Why do you think they picked him?
Actually, to tell you the truth, I suggest a third option. It was because of his notoriety.
Notoriety? Okay, good. Notoriety is good.
Because that actually bridges both continents, shall we say.
And he also dated Madonna. Let's not forget that.
Correct. So you see, that's what I'm saying. I think maybe Mr. Briscoe got a short answer.
well, maybe he did. He got the back of the card answer instead of the full biography, and I apologize for that.
I'm sorry, I keep stirring the pot up, my brother. I hope you have a good evening.
Well, somebody has to do it, and thanks for calling. Yes, Dennis Rodman did do other things in addition to rebound and play defense in the NBA. He did. And we'll just leave it at that. As long as he's going to be in Danville, maybe Charles could get him on. Maybe Charles could get him on the buzz one afternoon. I think Charles ought to look into that. Get Dennis Rodman in there for the 4:00 show, and let people ask him some questions, or maybe we can even get him here. Perhaps we could get him on this show, but we probably can't. Phone line is open. There's a number, and the email is kechols47@gmail.com. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Oh, somebody called and asked about the solar panels.
Yeah.
Out there close to the Purina.
Right. Yeah.
And you said you was going to find out about them.
Hmm.
Did you ever find out who does that and why they're out there?
Yes, I did. Those panels are owned by a company that is based in Durham. They own that bunch of panels, and they own other solar farms, a bunch. I think they own 4 in Rockingham County, and they make electricity and they sell it.
Oh, so they make electricity and they sell it to Duke Power. What
Yeah.
if Duke Power don't want to buy it?
If they don't want to buy it, well, if you go into that business, before you put up a bunch of solar farms and panels, you will, if you're running your business wisely, you will already have a contract, something called a power purchase agreement with the entity to which you want to sell your electricity. So that's all under contract. They're not going to wake up one morning and say, we don't want to buy your electricity anymore. All that is governed by the power purchase agreement.
Whoa, I
So
didn't know that.
Well, that's how that works.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. That's that solar installation out there near Purina, and there's one out in the county close to on the Dibble Road, I think it is, and then there are a couple closer to Reedsville. I think there are 4 in Rockingham County that this same company owns. And I'm sorry, I don't remember. I've forgotten the name of the company by now because I'm feeble-minded and I forget stuff. Don't remember the name of the company, but they're in Durham, and that is their business, generating electricity and selling it to the power companies. This emailer says, Ken, are they going to cut out the IRS thing where the IRS will do your taxes for free? I heard that the Republicans want to kill that. Is that true? I don't know if they're going to cut it out or not. Several Republicans in Congress have suggested to incoming President Donald Trump that on his very first day in office, he end that the IRS should stop doing that. It's called direct pay. And under that program, you can, rather than going through a third party to do your taxes, this assumes that you don't want to do your taxes yourself, or you feel you need support in doing your taxes yourself. If you don't want to go through a third party, you cannot, or if you can't afford to go through a third party, you choose IRS direct pay. And through that IRS website, they will guide you in preparing your taxes, and then you can do your taxes there and file free of charge. These congressional Republicans, and I don't have their names in front of me, but it's a handful of them. It's not a whole bunch of them, but it's just a few. Want Donald Trump to issue an executive order on day one, they say, prohibiting the IRS from doing anyone's taxes for free and allowing them to file for free. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. I haven't heard Donald Trump say anything about that one way or the other, whether he intends to do that or not. But that is the story that obviously you have read somewhere, and that is true. That suggestion is going to be made to President Trump, and according to these members of Congress, they've already made the suggestion to him, but whether he'll do it or not, we will wait and see. Phone line is, well, no, it's not open right now. Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Well, you do that same thing at your house, can't you? I mean,
What?
selling solar power to Duke Energy. You got a solar power panel at your house, and you make electricity with that. They've got to buy it. They have to buy it, don't they?
Well, it depends. There's a law that says if you are generating electricity strictly for your own personal use, you're making electricity for the purpose is only to power your house. If that's the situation you're in, then if you make a little more one month than what you use, then yes, the power company would be required to buy that
Well, that's what I
excess.
thought. Well, how much money you reckon you can make off of that?
Not much. No, you're not going to make a bunch of money on that. Again, the situation is it has to be electricity that you're generating to use to power your house. You're generating it to keep your TV on so that you can watch Star News and to run the refrigerator and all that other stuff. And if in a month you happen to generate, say, 10% or 15% more than you use, then yes, at that point, Duke is required to buy it. But the way they buy it is by giving you a credit on your power bill. They don't send you any money. They just figure up the value of what they get from you, and then they reduce your power bill the next month by a commensurate amount. And that's a good thing, of course, but it's not a big money-making vehicle because, again, it's only if you're making the electricity to use personally. So I don't think anybody's going to get rich off that.
So you can't just put it up and they have to buy whatever you generate then.
No, that's not how it works. It'd be nice if it did work that way. And you might say, well, why can't I just put up a solar installation and make electricity to power my house, and then make 10 times what I need to power my house, and they have to buy that? No, they wouldn't have to, because I think if you're making that much electricity, I think Duke could pretty much make a very good case that you're not just making it to power your house, that you're making it to sell. And if you're making it to sell, then you would be required, well, to go back to our earlier case, you'd be required to have a contract with them, a power purchase agreement with them to buy all that excess electricity. So that's how that one works. My goodness, we're almost out of time. Just a couple of minutes left. Your phone calls and your emails, and I think we've got an email or two that we need to respond to here. This one says, Ken, put me down in the favorite Christmas movies things for Miracle on 34th Street as the best Christmas movie ever, and not the colorized version either. If you're going to watch it, you need to watch it in black and white, plus also the old version of A Christmas Carol that you talked about with the Alastair Sim in it. Watch that in black and white too. I saw a colorized version of that, and it's just not the same. So black and white all the way. And then P.S. There's a P.S. P.S. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It just is not. And that is the end of the email. And that's, well, not quite the end of the show. I started to say that's the end of the show, but here's one more email coming in here. And it says, Ken, I have, like the man was talking about, I have solar panels where I make the electricity that I need to run my house. And I end up getting about every month on average, I end up getting about a 15% discount on my power bill. So you're right, it's not a big get-rich money-making thing, but on the other hand, I enjoy getting a 10 or 15% discount on my power bill each month. So people can just make of that what they will. And that's what we will all do. We will make of that what we will. And that's all the time we have for Star Talk tonight. We are on the air Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I hope to join us next time. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Echols.